Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Friday night qualifying stream here at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia, Spain. The circuit that opened in 1999, named after the two-time world champion Ricardo Tormo, who the Spanish motorcycle racer once was, is host of this qualifying session for the round 2 of the QRT Endurance Championship 2025. We have 4 kilometres of track in this Grand Prix layout to test the ability of these drivers for the next 60 minutes. And joining me in the commentary box tonight is Tice Payne. Good evening, Tice.
Good evening. Good evening. Yes, it's wet and it's hot, which is not always the greatest of combos today. It's a track that I love. Should have probably been a driver for this one, but here I am in the com box nonetheless. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, Roffy, because especially turn one definitely invites people to probably abuse the track limit there. But yeah, with it being wet, probably not the best to be out there, I don't think.
No, I would totally agree with that, and we'll just ride on board with Justin Jean right now, and well, we won't ride a ball. We'll see. We'll follow him around the track for a couple of minutes. The car number 2 there. Wet conditions. I haven't got the forecast available to me for this race, but I know Tice does. What are we thinking for the next sort of 30 minutes, Tice? Are we this rain here to stay?
This rain is definitely here to stay and actually intensifies in about 28 minutes from now. So, yeah,
So,
it's
so what we're saying is now is the time to get your lap in if you're not going to get it in.
well, yeah, possibly. I mean, with qualifying being 60 minutes long, there is a chance that the conditions improve. So in about 25, 30 minutes, we'll know what the remaining conditions will be. But looking at it, it's pretty much just going to get worse for the next 30 minutes.
No, absolutely, and like I said, we've got 29 cars on track at the moment. We're expecting 32 for the race tomorrow. Not all teams will qualify. It is an optional outing. Some teams will take the attitude of, oh, it's going to be a bit of a random session tomorrow. It doesn't really matter where we qualify, and I respect that sometimes because endurance races are not about the fastest pace, unless you are an absolute alien out of this world pace, but quite often about where you are when you finish. And Jerome Jongen in the chat there quite rightly pointing out that it is somewhat damp on that track, moist to say the least. A couple of drivers still in the pit lane. They won't be in there much longer because the opportunity to set these lap times are going to be the best. And we have the first fastest lap of the session set by the QRT driver himself in the car number 2, Justin De Jong there with a 38.565. And I'll be honest with you, Tyson, I'm just looking down the leaderboard now actually. P2 there, the nearest driver we've got is still actually over 1.2 seconds away. Tyler Norris, a driver who we saw last night in the QRT
Yep.
GT3 Championship. He performed well. He did himself well last night.
Yeah, I think he's fresh off the back of a silver class win in our Thursday night GT3 series. So, clearly buoyed by that result, going to try and drag another one out of that car today. Yeah, Justin De Jong at the moment. Well, he has now got some company, but his delta shows he's about a second and a half up at the moment. So there might be a bit of daylight appearing again shortly. Good lap time around here in the dry. You're probably looking in the mid to low 30s, 31s at a push. Race pace probably high 31s, low 32s. Obviously, this is a wet running, so we're going to be looking at probably, I'd like to say low 37s, maybe high 36s for a qualifying pace. But yeah, we'll see over the next 54 minutes.
We will, and we were just on board there with a couple of drivers taking the wide route at turn 1. It's very slippy out there, and turn 1 is your traditional high speed, high braking turning point. So many drivers will be beaten by turn 1 this evening as the night progresses. Justin De Jong, who is our current pole sitter, has just improved on his lap time by a further 5/10 of a second there, and he's now got a second gap to P2 there. The Aris Masergi in the 303 Ferrari. Justin Hoffman there, just drops down into P4 as Vladi Hara manages to improve his lap time there. What a lovely livery that is on the 304 there, Tice.
Yeah, what a what a piece of art that is. Jeez, I don't know if we should ask him to park up in the pit lane so we can sit and admire it.
But
Yeah,
Danny
it's
McCutcheon as well, just improving actually on a 38.3 there, Tice. He's a driver to
solid
mention.
lap.
He had a solid race last night as well. Actually, he was.
He was my standout driver, best driver, I
I think
think.
he improved by
Great
14
result.
positions there, and the little bit of teammate rivalry there, De Jong being put in his place there by Arnaud Delassus, who unfortunately didn't have the best of races last night, not through his own ability, but through the car that he was driving. But again, has just been pipped to pole position by 0.3 of a second by the T1SR driver in the Ferrari there, which is currently on your screens, and he's just done a 37.3.
Yeah, Delassus probably driving a little angry and also probably very happy to not be in the R8, I would suspect, today. Yesterday was not a great race for him, qualified on pole with a blistering lap, and immediately went full Lando Norris and gave away the race lead on lap one. Interesting strategy, didn't pan out for him. Let's see if qualifying runs a little bit better today for him.
Well, we can certainly hope that is the case, and I have just noticed that the viewers at home currently don't have a copy of the track map on the window, so I'll get that to you as quick as I possibly can. It shouldn't be too much of a problem before it's with you in a moment, and it should just appear now in your top right hand corner of your screen. You can see we're riding on board there with Danny McCutcheon, once again, the British driver there in the 15 Ferrari. Let's, as he crosses the line in a minute, let's ride on board with him and see what the track conditions are like from his helmet camera. Installed on all drivers for this series.
Yeah, barreling down to turn one, usually tipping it in fourth, fifth gear, depending on the car. He's turned it in. He had to take 2 bites of the cherry trying to get it in there. Turned in the first time, front of the car said, not on your life. He then had to straighten it up and give it another crank over. Finally got it in there, but definitely lost a bit of time. Looks like he's about a tenth and a half down at the moment. Should be able to bring that back though. Ferrari's pretty good in the wet. It does level things a little bit here. Porsche's another really good car. Lamborghini's pretty handy here as well. Ferrari should be able to make a good name for himself in here.
That he absolutely should be, and you can see he's got this car pretty much under control. He is down on the delta at the moment by about 0.2, which you can see on your timing tower there. New fastest lap has just been set by the 30 car once again with a 37.3. He is currently on his delta, 38 seconds into his lap, and he's already showing signs of purple. Justin Hoffman as well, improving on this particular occasion. Not purple though, only green, which means if you're new to the motorsport, green means they're improving on their own time, not the overall session time. So that is what we like to see. Justin De Jong there, he's going back out again, starting his next flying lap as well. We're riding on board with Danny McCutcheon now, who is showing us how things are done. He is currently neutral on his delta, hoping to bring this across the line a little bit faster. He is going to have some traffic here, Tice, which in the wet is not always the best, as you can see there with the McLaren parts on the exit of that corner. Foot flat to the floor, green, 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 and he boxes on that occasion. That is a surprise. Hoffman there as well, taking a bit of a trip into the runoff. As you can see, a wonderful little pirouette there from the P2 position as it stands at the moment. My timing screen is currently lit up with yellow flags, Tice. We've got drivers off left, right and Chelsea as it stands at the minute with the 988 car there as well. Let's see what happens with him. We're on board with the helicopter, who will get a great view of this turn one. I'm going to guess that the back end just stepped away from him here. It's high speed, high braking, high turning, which is not good for any wet conditions unless you're in a tractor. Yeah, there it is. Very well not to cut the BMW in front of him there.
Yeah, very good. You see everybody taking a slightly narrower line through turn one. Don't want to spend too much time out on that painted surface. You won't find any grip there. Orlick trying his best to find some extra time. He's teetering around a tenth up at the moment through sector one. We'll have to see if he can make it through. Looking pretty sharp though.
Chris Bell there getting the back of the better of him there, but I'll tell you one thing that he does need to understand pretty sharpish is he's currently running along with his left indicator on. Oh, and that's not what we wanted to see there. Let's ride on board with him there and see what that looks like from his helmet. I'm not sure whether that's something not to be desired by the 121 there, so that'll be something the stewards need to look at, and a bit of penalties applied before the race starts tomorrow. We're on board with the McLaren now, who's also currently giving us another pirouette. Let's ride on board with him and see what happens here. So let's go on the helicopter cam here. He re-enters the track. tries to kick it round, absolutely fine. Rejoins the track, looks nice and safe, not bothering anybody. Still on the curb, don't stay away from that throttle. Hits the apex, and I think he just lights the rears up again. Looks, yeah.
Orlix looks like he's about to dip maybe into the high 36s here. He's had a good final sector. Crosses the line now. 36.9, 36.982. Good lap there.
36.92. The nearest time to that is Justin Hoffman there in the 37.5. He's currently parked up in the pit lane. DeWitt's there also again, still struggling with that McLaren, trying to get it out. We've got lots of yellow flags on track as it stands at this moment in time. Ben Mertes once again struggling with that McLaren as well. The standout driver who of course is going to start his lap is Chris Bell. What we're going to do with Chris is we're going to do a full ride-on lap with him, and he's going to show us how it's done. The specialist grass cutter himself. He's still got a little while before he makes the start of this lap though, so we'll come back to him in a few moments. Tyler Norris is boxing after setting another personal best. Della Seuss is 4/10 up on his current lap. 4/10 would put him P2 as it stands at the minute, but not enough for P1 as it stands. So we'll see how that looks.
Yeah, just going back over Orlix's fastest lap, he was purple sector 1, purple sector 2, but actually yellow for sector 3. So he had a worse sector 3 than his personal best. So clearly a little bit of time on the table still. We'll have to see if he's able to gather it up and find
Chris Bell
that time.
still driving along with his left indicator on there. Somebody may want to tell him that he's got his left indicator on, because that is a noob thing to do. Not even our Harry will do that.
Yeah, that's it's not ideal. He is our resident lawnmower, but hopefully with it being wet, he's not going to take any trips across. You know, everybody knows you don't cut grass in the rain. So let's see if he manages to keep it on the island.
Looks like he's going into the pit lane again there, Tice.
I might have to get his indicator sorted out.
Maybe so indeed, but we'll see how that goes for him. I'm just going to mess around a few seconds because once again ACC doesn't like mouse controlling them. Danny McCutcheon, a yellow flag as it stands at the moment. Amy LaVue there, who had not a particularly great race yesterday at Paul Ricard, it would be safe to say. We'll sort of see how that looks there. A little bit of a ping spike there from the server.
I think she actually had a pretty decent race, all things considered. It was just unfortunate that there was an incident late in the race that unfortunately pretty much took her out of contention for anything. She was going along quite nicely, but yeah, unfortunately involved in an incident. As we see Justin de Jong, he is currently looking like he might set a fastest lap here. He is purple. So let's see if he can bring it in. Yeah, he's half a second up at the moment, which would put him comfortably first. Going into the second sector at the moment. He's not had a fantastic first sector, which seems odd. But yeah, he's lighting up the timing screen at the moment, Justin de Jong. Let's see if he can bring it home.
Server stability is certainly in question as it stands at this moment in time, so I'll try and sort that out and stay on card with onboard shots as it stands at the minute. Let me jump on board with Chris Bell as he sets his lap in the Lamborghini GT3 Evo. Oh, and Chris showing us there not how it's done into the start of Sector 3 there, but he's now going to bring it back. Let's see what he does for a little brief while. Let's ride on board with some of our other drivers on track. We're waiting board there, the C4, there he is. Just going to ride on board them with the 304. These liveries are particularly nice. These are fantastic liveries. And there's a German driver there who sits comfortably in P6, just as Harting there. Still in the yellow flags, not sure. He must have had a brief outing, I would think. Orlix then, back in the pits. P1, 36.9. No one's touching him as it stands at the minute. No one's getting close. In fact, the nearest driver that may get a little bit close is Mr. Vladi Haar here, who, as it stands at the minute, does improve and goes P4.
Let's have a quick look then at who's doing what. Apologies, Ruffy, I think I managed to mute myself there for just a moment. Justin de Jong, he's definitely looking like he wants to trouble the front row. He is currently sat P2, 37.1. Definitely think he's got some time in the car. His fastest lap, he was actually yellow in sectors 1 and 2 respectively. So definitely a lot more speed in that car. He just needs to get it gathered up.
He's in the Aston as well. The Aston is a reassuring car in the wet.
It does look after you. It is a solid car in the rain. It definitely looks after you. Got a bit of traffic there. They do get out of the way eventually. So yeah, it is a good car in the rain. It does look after you. So I'm sure he'll be able to find the pace that he needs to secure a pole position, I think.
Yeah, well, but he won't doing that.
No, he had an armful of opposite lock there for a moment. Not ideal. Oh, little bit of a lock up there, I think. That's not the optimal line. And elects to box. Yep, fair enough.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you know, if these drivers have got an hour, they've got an hour. It's not like Formula 1 qualifying where they've got 8 minutes or where they've got 30 minutes session. They've got an hour, so they can go out, they can test things, they can trial things, and they've got the time. And ooh, as the Porsche gets a little bit hairy there in front, that's the 66 there. Let's just let's go back to that one, Tyson. Let's have a quick look at what that one looks like, because that nearly was a very near miss. Let's ride on board with his helmet and see what happens there. I think it was probably Porsche doing Porsche things, but let's see what happens there. Stand by.
Turned it in. Looks okay. I bet he's got it all twisted up here as he tries to brake and turn in. Yeah. A little bit too much brake pressure.
Stalled it out.
Not a lot of grip.
Stalled it out nicely.
Stalled it out for sure. Does the right thing as well. Gets off the track, lets the other cars through. So that's what we like to see. That's very good. Yeah.
So, back on board then with Mike Wilson now then for the car number 3. They've obviously booted Chris Bell out the car and gone, no, I want to go. So Mike's now at the helm of the car. He's a 10th up on the team's best and does improve. Goes P21 with a 138.3. So we're currently keeping an eye on Justin de Jong. He is really the only person that's going to threaten pole position as it stands at the moment. I wouldn't rule out DeMarco just yet as well, but he's currently 3/10 down in his current lap. This is currently an invalid lap by Dustin De Jong. Unfortunately, I can't tell whether it's his out lap or whether it's just an invalid lap. He is 3 minutes into it though, so that would suggest it is an out lap, but we'll keep an eye on him as he crosses the line a little bit later on. Tyler Norris there pulling over and decided that that's the end of his current lap, and he's going to warm back up again and go there from there. Matt Redfern there in Big Brain Racing. Fahahi is currently on a flying lap with a 1:37.9 being his last lap, but unfortunately it was deleted by race control, leaving them with a 38.1 as their best time on the board as it stands at the minute. Another yellow flag there from the 304, but I think they're just backing off and preparing their tyres for the start of this lap. 37 minutes left to go of the session. Anything could happen as De Jong backs right off and set his lap. We're going to ride on board with De Jong here. We want to see how he gets on. We want to see what he does. He really is the only threat to P1 as it stands at the minute. These weather conditions are set to get worse, so you would think that you'd think that if he doesn't do it this lap, he probably isn't going to do it at all. So let's see what he does. Run on board with the rear wing then of the Quantum Racing QRT car number 2, De Jong, as he takes us down towards the turn 1, the infamous turn 1 at Valencia. Plenty of runoff. Take as much of it as you can, but don't take too much, otherwise you'll find yourself not on the leaderboard. Looks to me like you took too much there, Tice.
I think it is out.
It is out. It is out. He's flashed up red on my screen. He's invalid. Dela Seuss then, currently purple on every screen I have got. He's 3/10 up as it stands. He is currently set to take pole position. 57 seconds into his lap, 3/10 up. He is really on something here, Tice. Let's stay on board with him as he brings this home.
Yeah, he's flying at the moment. Just seems to be finding time here, there, and everywhere. Weather conditions at the moment are set to deteriorate slightly for the next 10 to 15 minutes, but you never know. It can always get slightly better. So there may be a last gasp towards the end if this rain backs off a little bit. But yeah, he's half a second up. Just needs to get a good rotation here, plant the throttle, and yeah, it looks like he is going to get that P1. Is it going to be a 36.7? Yeah, there it is. 36.7. Arnaud Denisous. What a lap.
New pole setter. No one's going to get near that as it stands at the minute either. He's the nearest contender there is Orlix, and he is currently quite a way down actually on his delta, so he won't be challenging that on this occasion. In fact, the only green times I can see are from Matt Redfern there and Jonas Hartig. Everyone else is currently doing worse, if not neutral. So are we at the peak of these weather conditions, Tice?
Just a quick update for you. Justin De Jong's lap was indeed valid, and he does improve his time to do a 36.987, 0.005 off Orlix's time. So it was a valid lap. It must have been just by the skin of his teeth. But yeah, back to the weather. We've got medium rain at the moment. It will be intensifying in about 8 minutes, and then it will continue to intensify over the next 20 or so minutes. So at the moment it's going to get worse, but you never know, it may get better, as we see Dela Seuss again looks to be purple again at the moment through this lap. So maybe he's got even more time on the table.
More time on the table indeed. However, the weather conditions are setting to sort of prevent any further development of these lap times. Purple time, Justin De Jong, purple through sector 1 as he was at the minute. He is losing time now behind the Ferrari, who really, if we're honest, is not helping matters. And he is parking his car where he could be. However, he is entitled to be there. And I'm seeing lots of rain lights not on as well, Tice. Let's hope the stewards don't report people for that, because otherwise they're going to be in a whole heaps of bother.
Yeah, it's a standby, or sorry, a standard rule within QRT that you must have your rain light on if it is a wet session. So, yeah, the stewards might end up having a field day with this one. Looks like Justin De Jong's managed to free himself up with a bit of space now. So hopefully he's got some clear running. He's got a good bit of track ahead of him. Hopefully that's enough space for him to set a representative lap.
Who is set to improve their lap once again, Tice, is the BMW #1 driver there, Arnaud Delisous. He is currently purple in on his lap altogether, and currently improving. He's the current pole sitter with a 36.7. Nearest competitor with a 36.982. So we are talking a large margin there in terms of pole position. Let's see what he can do for the rest of this lap. But as we've said, if you're only just joining us, good evening, Luke. If you're only just joining us, the weather conditions are set to continue to get much worse as this session goes on. So that will obviously dictate when we see drivers on the track and when we don't see them on the track. So I've just noticed that we've now got 31 drivers qualifying for tomorrow's race. So we've nearly got 100% attendance for those that are racing tomorrow, as Delasu's going to cross the line and not improve unless he finds something miraculous in this straight line. Doesn't improve, 2/10 down on his previous lap, and he's decided to return to the garage on that particular occasion. Riding on board then with Kevin Herman as he enters the pit lane after setting a 38.2 on his previous lap, so he'll be happy with that. Mike Wilson there taking the reins off Chris Bell. They have dispatched him back to the garage, and Mike plants it firmly in P14 with Matt Redfern, P15, 2/10 up on his current lap. Currently with 2/10 up, will take P12, I believe, Tice.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's going to try and make his way back up the leaderboard. Probably expect him to be a little higher than that. I've seen him race before. He's a pretty capable driver. I have actually seen Vladi Haar at P4 currently, the 304 Ferrari, I think it is, has on occasion flicked up into purple, so definitely some time available in some of these front five cars, I think.
I think what we're seeing, Tyson, is all these drivers have got some time under the belt. It's just whether the weather conditions allow. And you can, from these external camera shots here, you can't really necessarily see how bad the conditions are. But if I ride on board then with, like, for example, the 187 here, if I go on board with this helmet cam, you can see that once you get in that spray of the car in front, it's not that ideal, and it's very easy to miss your braking points like that. Or maybe, to be fair, he was letting the Porsche up and through the inside. But you can see there, the conditions aren't great out there.
No, conditions are definitely bad. It's a fairly short track. There's quite a few drivers. You know, you'd think with the amount of track that there is, and only 31 cars on track, that you'd be able to find yourself a bit of space. But that's not always the case. Wet weather levels the playing field a little bit. If you're on a really fast lap and you come across another driver that's on a valid lap, we don't allow overtaking during qualifying here, so that we avoid any of those qualifying race battles that tend to happen, or people getting punted as they go for dives. So you end up having to just back off and build another gap again. So yeah, the weather and the traffic playing a part in this qualifying session, but it should mean for tomorrow we have a good mixed up grid, which is what we all want to see. Ooh, that is wide there. That is
wide is not the term there, Tice. Do you know which driver who isn't on track reminds me of that move there?
That's got Harry Bella's Esquire written all over it.
It has got Harry Bella's written all over it. I can't even call him the race director tonight, because guess what? We're running a race and he's not around. Something we're all too familiar with, the QRT admins here.
Yeah, unfortunately, the race director, in inverted commas, has decided he's got better places to be this evening. So, yeah, it's yours truly running the show this evening. Just Jonas Hartig has just jumped up. Didn't even see that. He's just gone from fourth, I think, to second.
A lot of that time, we bring it up actually, Tice. You can see there was actually made in Sector 3 was one of his biggest jumps. Sector 1 he was actually yellow, which is why I don't think he flashed up on our screens as a potential pole taker. Most of his time in the final turn.
Yeah, he's snuck that one in through the back door. Justin de Jong at the moment looks like he's on a good lap. It is showing as invalid at the moment, but I think this is his first flying lap since coming out of the pits. But he does find himself tucked up behind a Ferrari that is blue flagged and finally decides to move out of the way, and then nearly sails into the back of them. So yeah, slightly questionable driving out there from some of the blue flag cars, I think.
Do you know who else has questionable driving, Tice?
That would be Harry Bella's.
It would be Harry Bella's. Harry Bella's would have questionable driving out there, but he won't be on track, will he? So Matt Redfern then, another driver will keep a quick eye on. He has sometimes the ability to pull out a stonker of a lap at the last minute, so currently standing P15. I would have thought they'd be relatively happy with that as it stands. Sort of, he's on his outlap as it stands at the minute, so we won't follow that one too closely. De La Souce there, currently P1, 36.7. No one's getting close to that at the minute. However, Aidan Evans, unless my timing screen is broken, Tice, is 3 seconds up.
I'm not entirely sure that's accurate, but
I would like to think it isn't, because if it isn't accurate, we're in for one hell of a lap here. But
yeah, I mean, 4 seconds.
Yeah, 4 seconds.
That would be a good lap,
in the dry.
a good-ish lap in the dry.
Exactly. So I'm hoping my timing screen is currently broken, because if not, we're about to see one hell of a lap. The only other option that may have occurred is he may be on an invalid lap and has cut a couple of the corners out, and the timing beams haven't been broken. That is something that could have happened.
It is possible. It is definitely possible. I think we should ride on board with him now for the rest of the lap.
Well, I'm going to ride on board with him. Let's have a quick look at De Jong, who is currently 2 tenths up as well. 2 tenths, just for your information, would put in pole position. But he is green sectors at the minute, no purple as it stands. So let's ride back on board with Aidan Evans then and see what he can do. Because he is allegedly about to go pole by a significant margin. Let's see whether the timing screen is broken or not. He does not improve. So that was a fault of the timing screen, which we did suspect a little bit, didn't we, Tice?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Harry was in charge of getting the what, so probably a Temu special.
Temu special. Now, rumour has it he likes the Mickey Mouse watch face on the Apple Watch, which talks to you all the time.
Well, for somebody that struggles to count past 10 without taking his shoes and socks off, that doesn't surprise me.
No, not at all. So, people standing out as it stands at the minute, I've only got one piece of green on my timing screen because these conditions are getting worse, and that is Davide Di Marco, the ACC driver from, I assume, France, and I'm making that assumption based on the name, so I apologise if I've totally got that wrong and misprofiled you, but that is
I reckon Italy.
Potentially Italy as well. Who knows? I can't see his flag, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we're going to ride on board with him, as he's currently the only kit driver on track improving.
Yes, person of questionable nationality is definitely improving at the moment. But I see De La Souce is actually a 10th up as well.
He has just flashed the purple, and so is De Jong. De Jong is tickling at that pole position. We'll ride on board with him again in a minute. We'll go back to Di Marco as it stands in a moment. He's 125 into his lap, so final corner now. What's he going to do? Mustang challenging the traction there on the exit. He's going to cross the line. He's 5 tenths down though. He's lost all that time with that slide. It is amazing how much time you can lose with a simple slide. So De Jong then is currently 124 into this lap. He's currently 4 tenths up. No purple sectors as it stands at the moment, but is in reach of pole position through this lap and this lap alone. However, he did lose a considerable amount of time through that final corner, and I think he is going to have to settle for P3 on that lap, which he does. De La Souce looking to improve again, extending there. Maybe P1's not enough for him, Tice. Maybe he wants more.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only person he's got left to overtake would be the pace car at the moment. But, yeah, a stonking lap here, as he's found what appears to be about 2 or 3 tenths. So about a tenth of a sector. He crosses the line and, yeah, sets a 36.4. What a lap. What a lap.
4 tenths clear in these conditions is not bad. And I can honestly say, the only driver still improving once again is Davide Di Marco, who I think we have established is from Italy.
Yeah, so we've managed to get to the bottom of that conundrum. So Italy it is. I did say that the weather conditions were deteriorating, but the fact that the lap times still keep improving would suggest I was completely wrong.
Do you know how else is completely wrong, Tice?
Ooh, a quick think. Oh, that would be Harry, I reckon, again, to be fair.
It is Harry, yes it is. So we're on board with the Mustang then, the final corner that he goes round. Davide Di Marco is set to improve by 2 tenths, which is going to put him up there, actually. Jump a couple of places up with this lap, unless he's lost some time. There he goes, up to P5 with that lap in the Mustang, in the wet, round what is arguably a favoured track, more suited to the rear engine fitted cars, I should say. So he's done particularly well, though. The car number 3 has put the resident lawnmower back in the car, and I tell you what, Chris Bell is not driving that car. That car is driving him. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a pure case of talent being exhausted there as he turns out of that corner.
It's talent depleted is what we'll call that one. Is he going to stay out? Is he going to go for it? He's going to go for it. He's gone for it. So he's going to go out, and he's decided that he's not cooked his tyres too much there, but a little bit of an embarrassing moment there for the QRT driver.
The good news is it was only on stream, so we'll be able to clip that one and replay it repeatedly.
Yeah, we definitely won't be showing that one later on there this evening, will we? So we weren't embarrassing there. Matt Redfern then, the driver earlier I said to keep your eye on was P15. The final last lap that we've just missed has put him into P7, so he's just at a 37.2. So he's only got about 8 tenths to find for pole position. Doesn't sound like a lot, but in these conditions, anything could happen. As we still see a couple of green times. Aidan Evans once again improving. P9 as it stands at the minute. And he's going to be foot flat to the floor now and see what he can pull out of this one as he goes down there. A couple more braking zones to go in the rear engine fitted Ferrari, I should say. Hoffman, another driver there that's looking like he's going to improve on this occasion. But I'm afraid, Tice, I do think my timing screen is telling me that we are now in the worst of the weather.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it will be the worst of the weather. It is set to intensify again in about 10 minutes, so it's almost certainly not going to improve from here. So yeah, I think it might be a struggle to see any lap time improvements unless there is just residual pace in the car. Vladi Haar in the 304 Ferrari has definitely got possibly as much as half a second in his pocket if he could just get it together. Really struggling. He seems really strong in the first sector, and then the time just ebbs away over the remainder of the lap. So if he can get it together, bring those corners, put a lap together, he is definitely one to watch for troubling at least the top three, I think.
100%. 100%, and then we're going to see that in this final 20 minutes. De La Souza then purple once again, 23 seconds into his lap, threatening to take P1 by even more of a margin. He's currently got 4 tenths under his belt, with Harty, if I'm honest with you, not showing any signs of damaging or worrying that pole position as it stands at this moment in time.
No, his delta keeps fluctuating from being plus 0.1 to negative 0.1 on his delta, so clearly just struggling a little bit. You know, he's there or thereabouts on his lap, but he's not making any significant improvements. So yeah, it seems I can't see him finding the thick end of half a second at this point to challenge De La Souza. It almost seems like an unassailable time at this moment.
Hartig there pushing a little bit too hard by the looks of things, and he's pushing for that P1 position, and he's just backed out of that there as things got a little bit loosey-goosey for him. And we're right on board now with one of the drivers who keeps improving, but we're not yet seen any development of that leaderboard. Is Rick Kranz, who is the driver of the Ferrari there, 383. He is currently 4 tenths up on his current lap, which would put him quite nicely actually, Tice, up a couple of positions, which he's been trying hard for. But the top 10 currently look to be staying as they are at the minute. So got a request in the chat to ride on board with the 66, Eric Hutter there. He actually had a very stylish moment earlier where the car snapped him on the wet curb, and it actually looked like he was in a drifting competition and managed to hold it and style it out throughout.
Yeah, it was a great save. Clearly very committed going into that right-hander, but yeah, definitely ran out of grip part way round it. But he's a fast driver. I've seen him lap before. Porsche not always the best car to take for rainy conditions, but I'm sure if he can get a lap together, he's going to get further up the order than where he is now. He's a pretty capable driver.
So, a couple of fun facts I like to give out during these broadcasts, as Tice will tell you. So, we've been through the main during my opening statement. However, this is deemed to be a stadium-like atmosphere circuit because it contains a lot of grandstands on the inner circuit, which very few tracks do. In fact, Silverstone is the one that springs to mind, and the only grandstand they've got inside the track there is Silverstone 6, which is a very small grandstand on the inside of the farm curve area where you can see Maggots and Beckett's. So that sort of brings its own sort of festival vibe to the track here. It's also one of the only circuits that's known for its tight and technical layout, which still has high-speed corners in, which obviously stands out. We've seen from the turn one there, etc. And because of that, because we see such a mix of high speed, low speed, high turning, high braking here, it's actually very popular for testing here. So MotoGP and Formula E test here religiously, and Formula 1 even used to use this as a test track for its smooth service and consistent weather, which obviously teams do try to hunt out during these events. And one of the other things that people don't know actually is this circuit actually has two layouts, Tyson.
I didn't know it had another layout, but I can imagine it is a bit of a stadium-like atmosphere. I would have thought that was more based on being sort of quite enclosed. It is a long-ish circuit, but you don't actually go that far away from most of the grandstands. So I'd imagine that pretty much wherever you choose to sit, you can see most of the track. But another one that springs to mind, I don't know if we race there much, but Hockenheimring would probably be another one that's got a bit of a stadium-like atmosphere.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with that, and that's what we see here. And obviously, we're only about 12 miles away from Valencia, I think, so it's a popular one for commuters as well, which is always good to see. But it's a very good track. There's not a lot else like it. We've obviously got 4 kilometres, which I said earlier. We've got 14 turns, 9 to the left and 5 to the right. It's a counterclockwise layout. Which is very unusual for modern tracks. Modern tracks don't normally have that counterclockwise approach. Most of them work in a clockwise fashion. I'm not really sure why that's the case, but if you take Silverstone, for example, Monza, Spa, all of those tracks are all clockwise. And even the modern ones, if you take, for example, I don't know, Jules Villeneuve at Villeneuve, Canada. That took a mouthful to get out. I should have helped me there. The Canadian track that's a clockwise track as well. The only modern one I can think of that is counterclockwise actually is Miami. I think that's a left turn circuit based on the start.
It is, yeah.
It is.
Yep.
So that's one of the only ones. And then the other one, of course, was Sochi, the Russian race circuit. That was a left turn as well. So it's not on its own with a counterclockwise approach, but it certainly is in the few. And Reece Crowther there is 2/10 up on his own lap time there. The 2:24 Ferrari. Ferrari very popular this championship. I'm not surprised. And we'll sort of see how that sort of pans out for these drivers. Really, it's a good car, the Ferrari. It's a good car. The Aston and the McLaren give you a sense of security and safety. The Ferrari gives you that as well, but it also can be set up to be on a bit of an edge. You can have the edge. Sort of whether you want a pointy car or a non-pointy car, and that's why I think it's a favourite among these sort of mid-caliber drivers.
Definitely. I mean, the Aston and the Ferrari for me are sort of really good, stable, dependable cars. Good if you're newish to the game, or you just like having a car that's fairly compliant. The McLaren can be a bit of a handful if you've got it set aggressively. Tends to favour a lower traction setting to really get the most out of it. But the Ferrari's quite happy running TC5, TC6, and you're not going to really lose any time out of it. It's very good on the brakes. Has a gearbox that's practically indestructible. So it's a very safe pick, I think, the Ferrari.
What do you know what isn't very reliable, Tyson?
That'd be Harry.
It is Harry, correct. Well done. Congratulations for picking up that one there. That's quite good. Next week, by the way, for the Thursday series, I am introducing a Harry counter. Every time we mention his name, we will add a counter to the board, and the person who guesses the amount of times we mention him throughout the race will win a three-month subscription. So that is the competition for next week. So, drivers out on circuit at the moment is the vast majority of them. I have no green as it stands at the minute. These conditions have got progressively worse. We're right on board with the 472, who is currently finding himself in a little bit of traffic, and you can just see what these drivers are currently having to deal with.
Yeah, it's the conditions are clearly deteriorating. Like you say, there's very little happening on the timing board. Only the 199 car is showing as being green at the moment. Everybody else struggling. As actually the number 14.
I was just about to say that. Amy's just picked up their 3/10 on her lap time as well. So let's just ride on board and see what that looks like in the screaming Porsche, the Porsche that's angry.
Lovely livery, very similar to the one that she runs for the Thursday series. It's a great looking car. I think the timing screen's broken again because our resident lawnmower is showing as being 2.2 seconds up.
Now, I'm sorry, Chris, I've known you
Um,
long enough to know that you wouldn't be challenging for pole in these conditions, so we know that's not correct.
yeah, as he rounds the final corner, let's see where this is. Crosses the line with I'm not sure what happened there. The timing screen suggested we were about to have a new pole sitter by a couple of
Do you
seconds.
know who won't be the pole sitter this evening, Tice?
Well, I mean, there'd be about 28 people or so from this session, but I suspect it would be Harry.
It
that's
is
definitely
Harry,
not gonna be on
correct,
pole.
it is
Yeah.
Harry. He won't be on pole, unfortunately.
No,
One
I
on
mean,
board.
that's a fairly safe bet, to be fair, to be made at any point, any racetrack, any race, any time, anywhere. It's a safe bet that Harry's not going to be troubling pole.
No, he very rarely troubles pole. In fact, he troubles a totally different type of pole. But we shan't get into that, so we ride on board.
Pretty sure he
with-
lives alone, and he's still not the first in any of the rooms that he lives in. So, such is his talent.
That's we're right on board then with the T1SR 30 driver there, Orlix, who at the moment finds himself looking at the rear wing of another Ferrari. In fact, we'll try and jump on board with the Ferrari in front of him and just see what that view currently looks like. You can see him coming around that corner there with a complete composure about him.
Yeah, T1SR car at the back there, looking like he was getting a little bit out of shape. I don't think he expected the Ferrari ahead of him to...
Do you know who else is getting a little bit out of shape, Tice?
Well, aren't we all? But in this instance, it's definitely Harry.
It is definitely Harry. Well done again, Ty. You're getting good at this. So we're on board then with the 383, the Ferrari here. Rain light on, like a good boy. Unfortunately, not all these drivers do, so the stewards probably will be looking at that, and there will be hefty sanctions for drivers who have not had their rain lights on, but it's very clear in the rules. The drivers have not been following that. They are there for a safety reason and therefore should be used at all times. We're running on board then with Alex Perry in the Aston Martin, a particular wet track favourite. And as it stands, I've just noticed as well, Tice, that Justin De Jong there has tickled the P2 position once again. As he currently sits there, he's snuck in there a 136.750, so that's currently a QRT front row lockout with the car number 3 there, Chris Bell, the resident lawnmower, in the Lamborghini, bringing it round there. So we're on board then with Matt Redfern, which we won't because he's just returned to the garage, but he has managed to plop himself in P8, a 137.727.
That's a little bit more representative. That's sort of more where I'd expect him
That's
to be.
exactly where we'd expect to see him. So we're interested to see
Yeah.
what the Rafe does. Stefan Jacobs then returning to the pits as well after improving on their lap time. Still not seeing them back out. But I think we are going to start to see the back end of these laps with drivers running unnecessarily, because if it's raining like this and the conditions have got progressively worse, with 10 minutes to go, they are just running for the sake of running, unless, of course, they want the wet session practice, which the sensible drivers will be running. And if I'm honest with you, I won't put it past some of these drivers running with full fuel tanks now to practice for the race tomorrow.
Oh, definitely. I mean, rain is forecast for tomorrow's race. Whether it stays for the duration or it's just mixed conditions remains unknown. So probably not a bad idea to get a feel for how the car's going to behave, get a sense of what it's like, what the balance is like, use this as a bit of a secondary test session. That's not a bad idea. As I've just noticed, only the top 3 actually managed to break into the 36s.
Do you know who wouldn't have been able to break into the 36s, Tyres?
That would definitely be Harry.
It is Harry. The 236s maybe, but not the 136s. Back on board then with Amy Lovey there, who is in the Porsche this evening and having a very respectable time as it stands at the minute. Didn't have the best race last night in Paul Ricard, 2 factors beyond her control. However, we are looking like she's on a comeback drive tonight with the Iron Dames livery there, the 85 Kia. Or the 85 sign livery, I should say, in the car 14. Obviously a livery problem there, but doing quite a respectable lap times as it stands at the minute, and very much putting the car where the car needs to be. De La Souce, purple, once again In the start of his lap, 30 seconds in, De Jong are returning to the pits there, as we can see as well. 36.4 is the pole time to beat. Reece Crowther is the only person improving on their current lap time in the Porsche as it stands at the minute. As you can see, the wonderful Valentino Rossi in the background there on the hotel at this wonderful track. We're only 12 miles from Valencia, Tice, and you wouldn't know it with these weather conditions.
No, obviously a freak weather system must have moved in over the last couple of days, because it looks like it's gonna set in. Yeah, some very odd conditions here.
Very odd conditions indeed, but no, we've enjoyed it. I must say, we've less than 10 minutes to go now of this qualifying session. We've got a very interesting grid tomorrow because these cars that have been fast in the rain won't necessarily be fast in the race. The only criticism I've got of ACC, amongst many, that's not only, is obviously we can't lock these car setups. So parc ferme is not a thing for us here, which obviously gives the drivers a big advantage, but it gives us a disadvantage from a spectator point of view this evening. As we're still on board with De La Souce, who is the current pole sitter in P1, 1:36.445. No one getting close to him apart from his teammate Justin De Jong there in the Aston Martin with a 36.7. And Matt Redfern as well, looking like he was going to improve. Still in the pit lane. I think we'll probably get another lap out of him. Alex Perry in the P22 121 Aston Martin. Now the only car I can see currently improving on their current lap time.
Yeah, I mean Davide De Marco's got a tiny little slither of green. Maybe a handful of other cars that are slowly looking like they might improve. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see much in the way of movement now, unfortunately. With 7 minutes left to go, the rain looks like it's just intensifying. So, yeah, Davide, the only person that looks like he's trying to make a move here, which is... yeah, he is up. It's whether or not he can keep it through, though. Yeah, it's he's the only person making a move up the order at the moment.
Certainly is indeed. Lots of yellow flags, lots of drivers pushing now. But like I say, there will be some drivers out there now for our viewers who don't follow ACC and don't follow sim racing. They'll be using this session very much now as free practice. These obviously server conditions are the closest they're going to get for tomorrow's race. So I would imagine we've got some Brim tanks out there. I'm currently looking at the Deltas as well on the screen, and we've definitely got some full fuel runners out there at the minute, Tyson.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we've definitely got some people that are electing to get an advanced read on what the conditions might be like tomorrow, which I think is probably a very smart idea. You know, you need to maximise your time. Quite a lot of wet weather driving is going to be about confidence. You need to know where you can have the car, where you can't, which curbs are okay to touch, which curbs aren't. So yeah, definitely, if you're not going to improve, chuck a load of fuel in, put your race setup on, and see how she handles.
Do you know who wouldn't be improving in these conditions?
Definitely Harry.
Yeah, definitely Harry. Again, once again, pointing out the obvious there. So, Arnaud De La Souce on his outlap after his fresh pit stop, very clearly on wet tyres, as you can see there. No one's really challenging him as it stands at the minute, and based on the current weather conditions, and I can't see the forecast, so Tyson tell me if I'm wrong, we're not going to see any improvement. So really, it's going to take a miracle to find those 4 tenths needed to de-pole him. Where we may see the improvement is Jonas Hartig. Jonas Hartig is less than a tenth away from that front row, so we'll be seeing him pushing all the buttons to make that McLaren take that front row, and you can see just from the offboard there how much he's pushing. That car squirming under the pressure there as he's about to cross the line to start his time lap. We're going to ride on board with him and see what he can do this lap size.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually seeing there are a couple of drivers. We've got Boshansky 0.3 up. We've got Harris 0.3 up. Crowther 0.2 up. So a couple of people here actually looking like they might try and climb up the leaderboard. I think Hartig has just improved on his time as well. So he's another car that's joined into the
Well,
36s.
yeah, Hartig was the one that's already in the 36s. He was currently P3 and has been displaced by Harris there, the
Oh,
303
apologies.
in front of him. And it's alright, so we can't all be perfect like myself. And the 303, they're taking that position here. However, Hartig is currently only a tenth away from taking the front row, and he's currently 2 tenths up. So we're going to hope and see what he can do. Can he challenge Justin De Jong for that P2, that front row, and ruin QRT's day with a front row lockout and blocking that lockout? He certainly looks like he possibly could. Harris in front are currently improving as well. I would say from this onboard footage, Tice, the conditions are definitely better than what they were 10 minutes ago.
Which is one of the joys of the Kunos weather system that we all live under during these events. The indications to me is that it should be getting considerably worse. But one thing to note, the ambient temperature and the track temperature
He's
have
lost it.
dropped.
He's lost it there.
Dear.
He just got too much curb. That was the lap. That was the lap that was going to do it. Let's go back and see what he does there. We're right on board with him then, as we've got about 35 seconds to go before this replay expires. Let's use it wisely. You can see there he's pushing this car all over, and he's just trying to get the better of it. And I think what he did, Tice, I think he just got too much curb. I think the back end snaps on him, and it's a shame because that he'll be thinking to himself, that was the lap. That was the lap that was going to challenge pole position, and unfortunately for him, it's over in the case of an extra millimetre of curb.
Yeah, I mean, he's got time to go again. If he wants to RTG, get some new tyres on, he has got time to make another crack at it. But yeah, it's not long. Not long. That might be chance blown.
This is the only driver on track as it stands at the moment, and that is Tim Boshanki here in the Ferrari itself. The number 9 car then, currently standing P12 with a 137.622 to beat. Going to cross the line and going to go from P12 all the way up to the dizzying heights of P12 once again. I think he lost all that time in the final corner, Tice. He was 3 tenths up and he dismissed it.
Yeah, it seems to be a common theme among some of the drivers here. Yeah, they managed to string it all together right up until the final corner, and then immediately throw it all away. I don't think that's the play.
Do you know who else would throw it all away, Tice?
Definitely Harry.
Definitely Harry. So, but then we know that. De La Souce then back out again, still purple. He likes that sector 1. He is very much untouchable in that sector 1. But he's not really showing any signs of being threatened through there. I think if anywhere it'll be sector 2, and to be honest, that will ring true with him running in the M4, wouldn't it, Tice?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. It's a solid car in these conditions.
Ooh. Jump on board with Hartig then. He was the car was getting the better of him then. Let's just have a quick look at that from the helicopter. Looks like he puts his foot down a little bit too early. Yep, a little bit of wiggle there. Manages to hold on to it nicely though. Styled it out. Kept the car in one piece. De Jong improving once again, a 1/10 up on his current lap as it stands at this moment in time. Davide Di Marco showing no signs of threatening Hartig as it stands at the minute. Orlix again 1/10 up. That's not enough to threaten P5. He is one of the only drivers still in the 38s. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. I've got him down as a 38, but in P6 unless they've had a driver swap for that car. Amy Levy there is having another pirouette. Let's see what happened there as they come down here. Just a bit too much throttle in the wet in the Porsche. We've all done that one.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. That is, to steal a quote from Mr. Martin Brundle,
So
that is...
De La Souce then takes the checkered flag. He will get the opportunity to run again because the session has only just expired. And De La Souce immediately invalidates. That's how confident he is in that lap time. A 36.4, he says, yep, no one's going to beat that. I'm going to pit. De Jong doesn't improve. He's back in the garage. Mercedes there, the only person who can actually properly threaten any of these drivers, currently the 303 car, not showing signs of being a threat to anyone on track as it stands at the minute, Tice.
Yeah, I think the weather conditions played a part in this. Obviously, there's quite a few people, that probably should have gone quicker, but just fell victim to the fact that it just kept raining and kept raining and kept raining. So, yeah, I think that's probably.
Harris doesn't improve there. Matt Redfern in the chat saying it's pretty rough. Tyres only lasted about 2 laps. We did ride on board with you quite a bit there, Matt, and we did see you improve as well. Some cracking laps from yourself there. We were slightly worried about the commentator's curse actually at one point, so we did stop talking about you after that. Danny McCutcheon then. He's one of the only drivers out on track currently being able to set a lap because of invalid time, and he's a 10th up. That 10th would actually slot him a position ahead into P12. So, providing he can keep this together for his own sake, let's see what he can do. Let's ride on board with him then. He's the only driver on track that can still set a proper time. The 15 car then, the Ferrari, as he comes round the final corner. His foot flat to the floor. Can he improve on this occasion? Can he take this car from P13 to P12? Crosses the line, and he does not improve on that occasion, which is a little bit disappointing for them.
Yeah.
Well, and so it's one hell of a grid we've got tomorrow.
Indeed, yeah, that is the end of the session. So, yeah, fantastic qualifying session. Definitely a mixed up grid for tomorrow, which is what we like to see. So, yeah, that's going to be a fun one.
It certainly will be, and we will be broadcasting and stewarding the race tomorrow, and we'll be on board with these 35 drivers tomorrow around this track for 4 hours and seeing what they can produce, and we hope that you're able to join us too. So thank you